Hello students, let's read the problem. And it says, the quadratic function displayed in the graph below passes through the order pair 4, 12. Which function in factor form best represents the graph? Okay, so we want to find the factor form, is that right? From the given graph, okay? And a couple of information that is given to us is that, well, it goes to the point 4 and 12, which basically means that 4 is my x value and 12 of course will be my y value. Very good. What else do I know? Well, if I look at the graph that is given to me, I can see where the point 4 and 12 is, which is right here. But I can also identify two other points, and those points are very important. And the points that I'm talking about are these 2 points over here. These are your x-intercepts, is that right? These are the solutions, and they are at exactly what? What number is this one? That's 3 on x, right? So that will be 3 and 0. And this other point will be what? -2 and 0. So my solutions are 3 and -2. That means that one of my x's, right, it's going to be a 3. And actually, we don't say x's because both of them are x's, right? So we said that one of my solutions it's 3 and the other one will be a -2. And we say R for roots, right? Okay, very good. I didn't want to write down the x because there's two different values and I cannot put x and x. Does that make sense? So that's why I said R1, which is root number 1 and root number 2. So what form or what function are we going to use to find my factor form? Well, first of all, I need to know how my factor form looks like. Is that right? And I have it right on the right side. So if you notice right there, I am going to need some information from me. I need to know the y, which I do have it. It's a 12. Very good. So I'm going to replace x with a 12. Do I know the a? No, basically, that's what I'm looking for, right? So I'm going to write it down over here. That's my unknown. I need to know the a, okay? So I am not going to replace a. I'm just going to write it down. And then I'm going to say x. What value am I going to use for x in this case? Well, the x that I'm going to use is going to be 4 minus what's my first root? Well, my first root is a 3. And I am going to write down the value for x, which is 4. Is that right? Minus the second root, which is a -2. Okay, so basically, I'm replacing, let me show you what I'm replacing. My R1 is right here. Is that right? This is my R2. Now, notice how R2 has a negative number. So, if you don't want to be confused, what we can do is we can write down some parentheses for that. Okay? In that way, you're not confused about negative, negative. Okay? So, very important that we have that. And also, my Y, which is right here, it's a 12, and I have it right there. Okay, so we're gonna continue. Now, before I go on, I'm gonna trace the 12, because I have a feeling that we cannot see it once I use the pink marker, right? So, my 12, I'm gonna bring it down, and this will be equals to A stays there. 4 minus 3, it's 1. And 4 minus a -2 is the same as 4 plus 2. Because this is your, remember 7th grade, keep change opposite. Okay, so that will give me a 6, right? So this will get 12 equals, well, 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 times 8 gives me 6a. So what I need to do next is I need to divide by 6. Because I'm trying to leave the a by itself, remember? Okay, so whatever I do on one side, do it to the other side. My 6 divided by 6 is 1, which basically leaves my a by itself. And 12 divided by 6 is a 2. And that will be the value for a. Okay? Now that I have the value for a, we can go back and write down my factor form again. So I'm going to write it down here. So we have y equals a parenthesis x minus r1 parenthesis x minus r2. That's my factor form, right? So I am not going to replace the y. There's only three things that I replace, and one of them is a, which I found as a 2. The x, I'm not going to replace it because that's my general. It could be any other point, right? So that would be x minus my first r1, which is my root. It's a 3. And then the next one will be x minus negative 2, right? Now remember this one, I can write down some parentheses in here, okay? So that we're not confused about that. So again, I'm replacing only a, which is the coefficient, right? And I'm replacing the roots for those. So let's go ahead and continue. Y equals, I'm not going to do distributive property because basically I want to leave it in factor form, but I cannot leave the minus negative 2, right? And we saw it earlier that that's actually x plus 2, right? So now I can look at my answer choices and see if you can find the correct answer. Now, if you tell me, Miss, letter C looks exactly like, very much like ours, but my factors, x minus 3 and x plus 2 are swapped. That's not a problem, okay? That's not a problem. As long as we're not swapping, for example, the signs, like a minus 2 and a plus 3, then that's a different story, right? Okay, so that would be my answer, letter C. And take a look at this one. Okay,